happened back when I was serving on the reservation with the Native American people in Anadarko, and I was there, and they threw a powwow in our honor, and so we were getting it. This was in the morning, and I get this call. I'm doing my sit-ups on my mission, and the AP said, "We need you to go take your missionaries down and sing Armies of Healing at a youth conference." And I'm like, okay, either go sing for the youth conference, or go to a powwow in our honor. Like, not a tough decision, we're going to the powwow. And so I'm doing my steps, and then all of a sudden, I just got this feeling like, you need to go to the youth conference. And I was, no way, I ain't going. No way. So I kept doing sit-ups, push-ups, started reading, and then I finally went and called the AP back and said, "Why are we going? Why do you need us to go? Blah, blah, blah." I said, "Okay, we'll go." So we ended up going down there, and my companion got mauled by a Rottweiler that day. So everything was trying not to get us to go down there. Got his hand and arm stitched, we ended up going down there. And come to find out, three of the young men that we were teaching the gospel to were there. The youth, they were there. And so I'm like, oh yeah, this is why we're here, to watch these guys at youth conference. And so I'm sitting there in this, a little preface. I had a girlfriend through high school. She got engaged like the week before this. And I didn't know about this yet at that time. And so we're all sitting there, and in the stage area, like a play drama stage, the stage there, stadium looking. I'm sitting there, and I'm trying to keep all my missionaries in line before the youth start coming in. All of a sudden, this gorgeous girl walks in. And two things. I never thought like that as a missionary because I'm a missionary. And B, I had never felt that way before as a man, as a guy with any other girl either. And she walked in, and time just stopped. And I just looked at her, and even to my companion, and said, "I would marry that girl." I didn't know her name, I didn't know where she was from, and frankly, I didn't care at that time. And so then all of a sudden, her sister walks in, who's not here, and then all the other missionaries turn and look at her. "Okay, let's cut it out." And I look up, and I just couldn't stop looking at Liz at youth conference. I didn't know her name was Liz. This girl at youth conference. And I was like, okay, she's cute, she's pretty, whatever, blah, blah, but she's probably just one of those good-looking girls that doesn't have a testimony. Well, right that second, she gets up and bears her testimony. I was like, oh, wow, she's got it going on. And but I quickly dismissed those feelings real fast because I had work to do. And then 3 days later, I get a phone call, and I had no idea. I didn't even get her name, didn't get where she was from, didn't care. 3 days later, I get a call from the mission president. Says, "Our home, need you go be the zone there down in Texas." I said, "Great." He said, "I need to be there on Wednesday. Can you be there?" I said, "Sure." So I go down to Texas, and I'm sitting there in church, and guess who walks in? I get sent down to the Warnock's ward in Wichita Falls, Texas. And so that was interesting. Then I got word that my girlfriend got married after that, and which wasn't a big deal at that point in time. Serving the Lord, and that's my part, right? Okay, so then that's all. That's like the preface of my story.
Well, I guess to add into the youth conference, being a typical young woman, I guess I didn't really want to go. I didn't want to go at all. I was like, I'm not going. My mom was like, well, you're going if you want to have your car and the other privileges that I have. So I decided to go. Anyways, it's interesting that I ended up going. And I never really remember seeing Brandon or anything. I remember vaguely meeting him, but because I was friends with one of the guys he was teaching, but he was just, anyway, so I never really remember meeting Brandon at youth conference. And we were always out of town because our family really likes to travel, so we were never in town. And the first time I ever really remember seeing Brandon was a Tuesday night And I'm kind of one of those people, or I was, I'm trying to do better now, that only does what you have to do. So we would go to a mutual on Wednesday night, and anytime the young women leaders would ask for volunteers to come on Tuesday or any other extracurricular night, definitely wasn't my thing. I was like, no, I'm not going. I'm going on Wednesday and Sunday, and that's about all I'm doing. Well, this Tuesday night, I did all the young women leaders, and Becky was the young women leader. She's my sister-in-law, so I was like, I guess I'll go. So I go, and I'm the only young woman who shows up. And I didn't know this was Missionary P Day as well.
Yeah, right.
I didn't. So I'm sitting, and at the time I was holding a little baby, and we were just talking and helping, and I was sitting on a little kid, and all of a sudden, this guy walks out, and I remember exactly what he was wearing. He had on his headband, his basketball shorts, and a white t-shirt, and I wasn't a missionary, I wasn't in trouble. I just looked, don't touch. And he was kind of bent over because he was pushing the door open out of the gym. And it was kind of the same thing, time just stopped. And I just looked into his eyes, what seemed for an eternity. But it was only a second, it felt like forever. I felt like I knew him, I had seen him for the first time. And then he walked out, and I didn't say anything, and I kind of turned back and was like, oh, he's really cute, you know? Anyways, and so then the next Sunday was the first Sunday I'd ever seen him at church, and I met him, and I was like, oh, I'm Sister Warnock, Elder Holmes, nice to meet you, see you later. And he's like, oh, and then he kind of gave me a hard time about being inactive, because we were never there, but we were inactive. Anyways, and then I kind of lived through Becky, because he was always over at my brother's house. They became really good friends, and because I never talked to Brandon, it was always kind of a high and by kind of thing, because he was a missionary, and he was a straight arrow guy. And so many times I kind of wanted to find out anything maybe about his family or where he was from. I would ask my sister-in-law, so it was all legal. Anyways, so then he got off and said, well, his parents. What am I missing?
All right, so I'm hanging out a lot with Will and Becky at their house and their girls, and we did family meetings and stuff together. And Becky would always ask me those questions like, so, where are you from? We're like, Heber City, why? You know? It's like, where are you going to school? I'm like, I don't know yet, you know? And she'd always ask me those questions, and it was just always interesting to me why she would ask me all these interesting questions that she never asked my companion. And so Becky was kind of the go-to person. No, the facilitator, unknowingly. So, yeah. Oh, and those three boys went to youth conference. They got up more of their testimony, and they all joined the church. That was kind of cool too. So that's why I told her. I said, "Hey, Sister Warnock, glad you're inactive, but Travis wanted me to tell you got baptized." So that's how that all came about.
Anyway, so then he got off his mission. Like the next couple months went by, and I mean, it was just waiting, I guess. And the week he got off his mission, I really wanted to write him. I wanted to tell him how I felt and some of the experiences that I'd had. There were other spiritual experiences that I had that were just really neat, and I wanted to share with him. And I'm not one of those girls that's really open with my feelings. I kind of like to jerk a guy around and play a couple games. But with Brandon, it was totally different. I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to tell him how I felt. So over the course of a week, I was praying, and I was having a hard time trying to write down what I wanted to tell him. And so one night I sat down and I started to handwrite, and I couldn't, after I got done, I was like, I read through it, and it didn't say anything I wanted it to say. And so afterwards I prayed, and I was like, if I'm really supposed to write this letter to him, help me to express my feelings the way I wanted to express them. And they started coming so fast, I typed a 2-page letter, and it wasn't double-spaced or anything. Anyways, and it said everything I wanted to say. It was really forward and open, and at the end I said, basically, if it's mutual, give me a call, otherwise I hope I never see you again. Anyway, so then, and I kind of made a little package, because his birthday was June 6th, and he got off a couple days later, so I kind of did like a multi-purpose kind of thing. So I sent him his package the day and his letter the day before I got home, so he's there waiting for him.
So I get home off my mission and didn't really. Oh, let's go back real quick. Do you want us to tell when you guys came out? Sure. So my parents come out to pick me up from my mission. I get out. I got off. Well, our 2-year mark was the 12th, and they came out the 12th, and they stayed a week with me and went around and met all my families and people that taught the gospel and stuff like that. And so
we're going to meeting all friends, meet friends, the Grahams, and the Chihuahuas, and the Warnocks, and we walk into the front entry of the Warnocks, and they have a lot of kids. You guys all know this. 3/4 of the family will come to today. So we walk into the main entry, the main entry there, and walk up, and I'm looking at the pictures because I'm always into people's pictures and my own pictures, and looking and see all their family, and I'm looking at them, and there's one of Liz, or was it your senior picture? It's just a little bit more pronounced to me or something, and I just get the impression that Brandon can marry her. And Brandon's on this side whispering something in my ear. Kathy's on this side talking to me, and I'm just kind of rattling. So I was just kind of stunned. And then Doug walks in and says,
I wasn't thinking that at all. In my mind, he was still on a mission, and we walked in there, and I saw Liz, and I saw her sister, and I said, Elder, keep your head straight forward, don't look right, and don't look left. That's all I said. There's pretty girls in here. Yeah.
So I felt completely stupid at that point in time. so that was kind of neat. And I didn't tell my mom or anybody really other than my companion I could marry this girl about Liz at all. And so that's kind of how that boiled out. I come home and my mom's got a couple dates lined up for me. We go on a bunch of double dates and stuff, and is that you, me and Cakes? I went out of the ISIS and I get this box, and it's from Texas, and I'm like, what's going on? Open it up. It's got basketball shorts, a CD, and this 2-page letter. And I read it, and it's from Liz, and I'm like, just kind of put it down, like, oh my gosh, what's this? Like, what's going on? So I'm like, I want to go for a drive. So I want to just go be by myself, listen to some music, and just drive by myself after 2 years. So I go get my car, put in some good old Kenny Chesney, I'm a big country fan. Drive to the old football field, and I'm sitting there just going over some glory days in my mind, listening to some tunes. I took the letter with me, and I open up the letter, and I just start reading it. And there's a part in the letter that she wrote that was a fulfillment to part of my patriarchal blessing in a dream I had had like 3 years before that. And it was almost word for word what she wrote. And obviously she'd never ever read or seen my patriarchal blessing. And that was really, really neat for me. The Spirit hit me so strong, and then I didn't even know her past my mission, I didn't even know it, but I knew I was going to marry her. Like right there, the Spirit just hit me, and I just teared up, and it was this really powerful experience. And I'm really thankful that happened. I took place right close to my mission, because I was still pretty good in tears, at that point in time. So I read the letter, and I go back, and I decided I'd call her, and I call her a couple days after that. And we talked for 7 hours on the phone. We talked for 7 hours. We had so many unfinished conversations, so many unsaid things, like so many weird coincidences. Like I was going to BYUI with my brother Chris. He couldn't go, and so we ended up going to UVSC and rooming with all my roommates. The day they call me and tell me, like, Kathy picked us up on a rainy day when we were walking, and she's like, oh, guess what, my daughter Liz is going to BYU. And I'm like, what? Like, the day I decided to go to UVSC. Just weird coincidences like that weren't weird at all. And I know it was Heavenly Father guiding my life. quite some time. And so I bought a ring, and we went to a park. I went out there for Brother and Sister Graham's sealing on New Year's on December 31st. And I was talking to her. I said, we were coming back from the temple. I'm like, when should I ask her to marry me? Sister Graham's like, well, do it today. It's my wedding day. I'm like, oh, I'll do it today then. So I had the ring in my pocket. We went and walked around, me and Liz, and we went to the mall and walked to the jewelry store. I'm like, hey, babe, what ring do you like? Well, I had the ring in my pocket the whole time.
And I was kind of mad because when I saw the ring, I knew it was the ring I wanted. So when he kept asking me, I was like, how thick are you? I was like, I like that other ring. I don't want to shop anymore.
So I was planning a good plan. And so we went and drove around, and we came to a park. I walked out, and my mom had given us a journal that said Brandon and Liz Holmes' memoirs on it. And she wrote her experience. She kept a journal, a day-to-day journal, and she came out with me on my mission. She had filled that experience in. And I had already went through and previously wrote my feelings for Liz and how I was going to come out and ask her to marry me on this trip. So I already wrote that down. And so we go to the park, and I said, I got a Christmas present for you. I pull out the journal. It wasn't the journal, obviously. And she reads through it, and I make her stop right before, I guess the part I'm going to ask her to marry me. And I said, I also got you another present. She said, what's that? I said, oh, I wrote you a song. And my mom wants me to sing it. So it goes like this. Oh God, that's better if it's one person.
Try to look at her though. Look at her.
I like to write poetry and music and stuff like that. So let me think. Using my phone. Well, it's been 2 years. You can't hold back my tears. And I'm just so thankful I married my angel today. Oh, now here we stand, a woman and a man. And the only thing missing is in marriage I ask for your hand. I will love you for all my life, through all real good days, through all some bad times. Don't you know you had me from hello and my heart on the coast or somewhere beautiful. Now this song I sing as I get down on my knee, and with this ring I'll ask you, will you marry me? Now when tomorrow comes, we'll be together as one, and it's just you and me, together for all eternity. That was really embarrassing. Oh,
That was my fault.
I do what mom says because I'm a little obedient child. So there's the story, the history of us in a nutshell.
I'm marrying the most amazing man in all the world, and I know all you girls are so jealous.
That's it. Oh! Does? Back when I was like,
Some people just got here, so make sure you introduce them. Jake, Joe,
or,
Oh, okay, sorry. I just had some family enter. Emily is right there. She's my younger sister, even though she looks a lot older than me. And then my brother-in-law Chris and his wife Sheridan. Oh, yeah, thanks. Sorry. And my brothers Joe and Jake. They've got here too. Oh yeah. And then anyways, they've got here for me.
alright, so I had, like, my aunties were always trying to hook me up with some of their Lamanite nieces, trying to get me back to stay in the promised land. And I...
Our plan to keep you in the promised land, which is Oklahoma, not Texas.
and fighting words. I always had a thing for dark skin, dark hair, dark eyed, Indian, Lamanite girls. And I always knew I'd marry one, and so they were trying to hook me up, and I was always joking with them about it. And come to find out, I did find a dark skin, dark hair, dark eyed young princess of mine, and Grandma Warnock. And
So let me
it's
see.
your Lamanite
It's
princess
recording.
crown.
Yeah.
Princess And is this Apache?
The ribbon is that, yes.
It's Apache.
I think my head's too big.
We'll get some.
Just hold it up on your head.
Yeah, trust me, Liz.
Could it worry about that? Just watch. What? Just watch. I know how to use this. I don't.
Will you watch Dave? The song again. Yeah, real quick, it's Apache, right?
Yes.
Let me give you a quick history from my adopted family. Is my great-great-great-grandfather was named Shavato. He was a Native American prophet for the Lapon Apache people. He was taken captive by the Comanches. He became one of the Comanche prophets of the Native American people. He was the one that was given the peyote and the medicine to him for the Indian people, Lamanite people. And so, truly, through lineage of blood and now through marriage, she is an Apache princess. don't wear feathers.
Wait, guys.
But it's a thought.
The next part of the program. Hi, Robert.
That's my brother.
That's Ruth's brother, Robert. You just came in. Welcome. Really, this is the best part of the program that you just saw, and we'll have to do some serious singing and dancing to keep up with it, but I won't. I need to give a toast. I want to give a toast to Brandon. And you've seen him, you've heard him. Anything that I would share with you would really be probably anticlimactic. So I'm going to try and add to what you already know of Brandon. Maybe share something that you don't know of. I'm going to take you back in time to when he's 11 years old and we're at Lake Powell. I'm going to give you a couple experiences that shows the heart of this guy. And we're in the boat, and there's a device that just comes out on the market. It's called an air chair. And I learned to ride this air chair quite, somewhat well. Anyways, I know enough to sort of teach someone how to do it. Brandon says, I want to do this, Dad. I want to do this thing. I said, son, you're too little. Part of the deal with this air chair is you have to sit on this chair and your feet have to reach the ski and they go into a harness. If your feet can't reach the ski and go in a harness, you just can't do it. Physically impossible. I can do it. I want to do this thing. How many of you have seen an air chair? Okay, so you got a big fat ski below you. You got this thing, pedestal that comes up with a chair on top. On the ski is the place where your feet go. You have to have your feet to push out with the ski. Down from the ski goes this long scab. It's about 3 or 4 feet long with another fin on the bottom. And the idea is you come right up out of the water and you're floating on top. And the only thing in the water is this little tiny scab. But to do it, you have to reach the harness for your feet. Well, he's too little. He's 11 years old. His feet don't even reach the harness. And he's learning for the first time. It's physically impossible. And I tried to explain it to him. You're not going to be able to do it. You don't have enough strength in your hips to hold the ski down, to hold the ski forward to get out. And he says, Dad, I can do this thing. And so we get him out in the water. And he says, hit it. And of course, he face plants it and does a bunch of stuff. Hit it, face plant, hit it, face plant. And I mean, we are 2 hours out there. Hit it, face plant, hit it. And I'm looking at Ruth going, he's going to drown out there. Because it's physically impossible. He said, Dad, one more time, I got it. And he is in tears. One more time, I got it. I'm so close. And I tried to explain to him, son, it just won't work. Your feet won't reach the ski. It's physically impossible. He said, Dad, I'm close. I got it. So what do you do as your father? You say, okay. You say hit it, I'll go. And he says hit it. And I go, and I don't know how he did it, but he figured out some way to hold that ski down, and he gets up a little bit, and then he falls, face plant. And I mean, you have thought that 10 Christmases in a row would have hit him all at once. I mean, he was just, his face just lit up. Because I've got it. I can do this thing. And I was stunned. I was totally speechless. And the next time, sure enough, he was up a little longer, and the third time, he went for a long ride. But I'm telling you, he was in that water 2.5 hours, saying hit it and doing face plants. And all of you that have learned on an air chair and been in the water trying to figure out how to ski, you know that is maybe 10 face plants, you're done with it. This little guy was in there for 2.5 hours. Ruth and I were about in tears. He was in tears, but it just shows a person with heart. And that's the point, is he has a heart that won't stop. It's 11 o'clock at night, and Brandon's shooting basketball. And I said, Brandon, you gotta come in, you got school tomorrow. Dad, one more shot. What he's doing, he's out there trying to hit 20 in a row. And I said, Brandon, you gotta come in. It's late. And I go back out there, half hour later. Dad, one more shot. And those kind of nights were endless. That he went on and on, until finally he just dropped shooting, dropped dead. He finally would come in. So, that phone. That shows his heart. It shows his physical abilities. He has excelled in lots of sports. He doesn't try to shortcut things physically. If it's hard or if it's impossible, does it scare him off? No, not at all. He goes right into it head first. Spiritually, the same thing, on his mission. I had some success on my mission. He studied my journals before he went on his mission. He knew everything about the programs I did for baptizing. He knew it inside and out. He gets out there and he starts implementing some programs. And he writes me, Dad, this is not working. Your programs, I can't get them to go. And I go through the programs again to try to explain it to him. And he would write back, I can't get it going. It's not the same. And I would tell him, Brandon, scrap it. I said, you pray. Pray to your Heavenly Father. It will be something totally different. It's never the same. The Spirit works in a very non-prescriptive way. It's just follow the Spirit. And that's what he did. He followed the Spirit. And he created some pretty awesome programs. And had a lot of success out there between him and the Spirit and his companion and a lot of hard work. Many times I would go into his room to try and talk to him at night, and he didn't know this, but he'd be praying. I'd walk away and I'd come back 10 minutes later and still praying. And I'd walk away and come back and first I thought he was asleep, So I'd walk over really close and no, he's alive, he's praying, so I'd walk out. Many nights, long time on his knees. This is a man, and he is a man. He's also one of my best friends. And I would tell him, I said, I have a great relationship with my brothers. I said, I'm like best friends with my brothers. I said, and that's the way you and I will be. I said, we will be best friends. The best of life is yet to come. We will do things, we are just beginning. When you start having kids with your beautiful wife and get your little family going, you'll bring your kids back, we'll go on trips together. Man, the eternities are just beginning. And Ruth and I know we just look forward to the future with Brandon and Liz and their kids and the Warnock family. This is a beautiful, beautiful family. We are very, very blessed to have the Warnock family in our family. And I love them. I love Ken, Kathy, and all their kids, and I just feel very, very connected to all of you. And Liz, your daughter, is Brandon and Liz would have a little, kind of not getting along real great. Maybe sometimes a little tense pressure. I'd just be walking around with a smile on my face. because I got 4 of the boys, you know. I knew Liz was coming to our family one way or another. We love Liz. Liz is awesome. We love Liz. She is absolutely amazing. She's an amazing person. Spiritually powerful. We love her. So, we're so glad to have you. Yeah. So with that in mind, I think I've toasted enough, and we love Brandon. We now have a little part of the program here. Dax and Toby are going to sing a song.
I love to see the temple. I'm going there someday to feel the Holy Spirit, to listen and to pray. For the temple is the house of God, a place of love and beauty. I'll prepare myself while I am young. This is my sacred duty. I love to see the temple. I'll go inside someday to commune with the Father. I'll promise to obey. For the temple is a holy place where we are so together. As a child of God, I learn this too. Our families are forever.
I feel guilty. I know it's late, and I'm sure that it's been difficult for some of you to listen to our share some of our feelings. I think in my mind how grateful I am for the wonderful Holmes family. Every time we visited here, we have felt their love and kindness. We're grateful for their graciousness. As I contemplated some of my feelings regarding Liz and Brandon, I was reflecting on how much happiness Elizabeth has brought to me. She's never embarrassed us. And I know my parents can't say that about me.
We think you're perfect.
I was reminded this week when I'd asked Elizabeth to lead our family and family prayer, I was reminded of what a unique quality of childlike faith that she has always had. There was a period not too many years ago when she went through some serious health problems and a long drawn-out period of recovery, and I always marveled at her complete trust and love in her Heavenly Father. And it pleases me, obviously, to know that she's marrying a man who loves the Lord, has a great personal testimony, commitment to serving Him, and I know that those are the most important building blocks of a happy marriage. I'm grateful to see that they're starting like that. I was thinking about some of my feelings last fall as I realized that Brandon and Elizabeth had fallen in love and that they were going to be married. And I have to honestly admit that there were moments when I felt tentative about it, knowing, as I'm sure all or most of you can appreciate, that once you step into the traces of life, there's no looking back. And realizing that Elizabeth is a little younger than some, and regardless of what age she may have been, as a father who loves her with all of my heart, I couldn't help but feel tender knowing that she was stepping into the traces of life. And when you step into those, then your life is spent. You wear the rest of your life out. If you're a man, as a provider and protector of your family, and if you're a woman, as a strength to your husband, as a nurturer of your children. And then when you get your family raised, then you feel such a sense of gratitude that you've gotten to that point, then you take whatever energy you have left and commit it to serving the Lord the rest of your life. And, but as I was able to remind myself, I thought of an experience that Kathy and I had when we decided to get married. Her family lived back in New York State. We were going to be like you. I hadn't met a family yet. And I can remember the experience, and one evening we called them on the phone to tell them, much like Brandon and Elizabeth, we'd fallen in love and wanted to get married. And I remember her father's response to that, there was a long, drawn-out pause. And then he said, well, if he's good enough for you, he's good enough for us. And I was grateful for that. As we've raised our family, my children can attest that I've made a reasonably faithful effort to try to teach them all of the things that I recognized as important truths. And one of the most important, I think, was to make sure that when you chose that soulmate, when you chose well, that's the most important decision the prophets have told us that we ever made. And I wanted each of my children to choose someone that would bring them great happiness. I know in my own life there's nothing that is more important to me as far as my personal happiness than my wife. And I have always hoped that each of my children would have the same experience. And I am so grateful to be able to know that Brandon is the kindly man. I've already expressed my feelings about him being a faithful. We've got to see him operate as a missionary. We recognize that he has qualities of endurance and commitment that you don't find commonly. And it's always wonderful to know that your daughter's chosen someone who stands above most men, and we certainly feel that way about Brandon. We love him. We are grateful for all of the strength that he has, knowing that he will bless our daughter and be kindly to her and be a great blessing to her in her life. I know that Elizabeth has grown up in circumstances where, from the example of her mother and the example of her grandmothers, that she knows how to work. She's a worker. And I'm grateful for her personal testimony. Brandon has alluded to how that touched his heart. And I'm grateful for her testimony of our Heavenly Father and of His Son, Jesus Christ. And I know that as they begin their lives together, that there'll be a tremendous amount of happiness. And it makes me feel, makes my wife and I both rejoice as we see them starting in this way. And I appreciate being Elizabeth's dad.
That's it. I want to thank all of you for coming out to this event. It's been wonderful. Thank you all of you that have traveled so far. And just take your time, mingle, talk, and okay. One more thing.
Kathy, am I right to think that at 12 o'clock, those that want to be in the family pictures need to be there in your formal wear? When I was there at the temple, there are 4 sets of stairs. Which ones are you supposed to be at? Okay, where's the photographer meeting?
On the east side, meet there on the east side.
Of the temple or?
Temple by the doors.
Okay.
There's 2 sets of doors on that side, be there.
Okay.
Go out and sit down there.
Yeah, east side, okay.
And if it's raining, in the foyer of the Joseph Smith Memorial Building.
This Utah weather's unpredictable from moment to moment. I got up this morning and when I went to bed last night with the stars, I thought, oh, no problem at all. Well, speaking out of the temp today was pouring rain. So we have a little alternative plan, and excuse me about my voice. We'll be on the east side of the steps of the temple, near there. Everyone, for the family pictures, we're going to start at noon. You should be completely done by about 1, so that you'll have a little chance to regroup. And if it's raining, then we'll go be in the foyer just in the Joseph Smith Memorial Building will just be there in the center area, and the bride and groom will be there, so you'll be able to see where we're going to congregate, and we'll go from there with the photographer and the videographers. Thank you.
And then you're almost to the homestead. You keep going down that river road, okay? So follow that out. As soon as you get done with the temple, or about probably, is it 6 for pictures there at the homestead? 6:30 for pictures? Okay. So these guys are 6, the rest of you are 1. And please, all of you that can be there, that's wonderful for those pictures too at 6:30, and then reception starts at 7. Okay?
So the church is alive.
Right. If you came down Park City Way, you turn right. If you came through Heber, you keep going to the light and turn left. And there's signs saying the Homestead Resort. Okay?
And then the next day, the plane leaves for their honeymoon at 10:30. Be at the airport at 10 o'clock. We'll all board the plane.
If that's the case, we're leaving at 5 o'clock at night. Everyone show up at 5 o'clock at night. We'll already be gone with it.
We thought it'd be nice to just take a couple of minutes, and those of you who are, of course, we're all friends of the bride and groom, but if you have a story just kind of right there and you want to share it with us, it'd be great to have you come up and share a story about the bride or the groom. If you got something in your mind, anything nice you want to say, or anything mean you want to say?
Not touching.
Okay. It all wonderful.
And I just wanted to tell you that when we adopted Brandon, this is not something you take lightly, and it's not a John Wayne movie, and it is not the things that you read in the comic books and history stories. It is in true and complete faith that we adopted this son of ours into our family. And consequently, of course, now we're going to have another daughter. And it is something that is true and right in what we did with bringing him into our family. And when he comes to Texas, the 27th, we're going to meet in Anadarko on the 28th, and we're going to have a branch thing with all his Lebanite friends and relatives, and we will have him smoked and prayed over them as a couple for their marriage there also. And we cannot express how much this young man brought into our lives. He was so spiritual, so well versed in the gospel, so strong in his faith and testimony. He was with us for a year. As a matter of fact, we got him called back to Anadarko. He left us, but he didn't. We couldn't get along without him. He is truly the son of our heart. And we have other grandsons and nephews, but this is the first one that Ruth and I have ever taken in as our own. We cannot tell you how much we're going to take joy in him meeting his family. You've seen his grandfather and his grandmother and his great-grandfather and great-grandmothers. He truly comes from a family of chiefs. Wild Horse, Olive Parker's our great uncle. Shabbat was a great prophet of the command chiefs. And he brings himself, his spirituality into that family as truly as if he were born to us. And we are so thankful for his parents to have raised such a son that we could be proud of and take with within our own circle. He has many family members that love him. He did a wonderful job on his mission. He brought love and the gospel and did us a great service. He was our family priesthood leader because we had him. And he was with us all the times we needed him. He is so guided by the Spirit. I cannot think of a better man to have for any daughter that I would have. We're so thankful for him and for Liz.
Me and Brandon met in the MTC, and I don't know most of the people here. I actually met Liz. We went on a training visit down to Texas. I met the Warnock family, and I met Liz, and was down there with Brandon. But just wanted to share a story of Brandon at the front of his mission. I see a lot of young men in here who are future missionaries and things like that. And I can remember Brandon was such an inspiration to me when I got to the MTC. I didn't know if I was going to go on a mission. It was something that I had thought about for a long time. And when I finally got out there, Brandon was just somebody who'd been so well prepared. He'd really taken the time to qualify himself. And I can just remember the whole time out there, him telling me about the work that he did before he went out, and then just watching him for 2 years and how outstanding he was. And when I met Liz, I can just remember seeing that same type of person. I don't know if anybody's read anything by John Maxwell, but he has a book. It's called The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And one of those laws is the law of attraction. That you attract people who are like yourself into your circle. And I can truly see that with Brandon and Liz. Both of them are just such top caliber people, and they're just such a perfect fit. I don't have any specific stories, but just getting to know each of them over the last 3 years and things like that. I can't think of two better people to get married to, and I look to them as examples and just want to tell them congratulations.
Her sister, which was in our language we call Apache, she's like it, and so Brandon's hoodwinked her. But with me, we share some stories, like I've thrown a taco at him in the middle of the street because he was pulling a cruel practical joke on us one night. And very quickly, he had a companion, a late night companion, and he were doing great work in Anadarko, which is a very hard area, very difficult missionary area. And we had teased him because we had a niece that liked him. And so we were teasing him about this particular niece. Well, they had another elder with them, and they too came into the house and said, guess what, Holmes got an emergency transfer because they said that he's dating. And we got all upset, and we go, it was just a joke. And Neenah gets the phone, she goes, what's the mission Holmes number? And we're crying, and they're making this big whole story. And this elder Purcell, who we didn't know, was eating tacos because they were having dinner at our house. And we're going, new elder? We didn't even know his name. New elder? Is that true? He's going, emergency, he's out of here, And so Neenah's crying and everything, and then she gets mad because she sees his little face peeking up over the window. And so I get mad, I had this plate of tacos, and I grab one, I don't know what made me do it, but I start chasing him out to the road. And threw this taco at him with ducks, it went all over their car. Then a couple of months ago, I'm in the bathtub. He's off his mission. I'm in the bathtub, and somebody keeps pounding on the door, ringing the doorbell. And I thought it was the teenagers down the street. So I ignored it, and I kept pounding, kept ringing, and it's like 11:30, 12 at night. So I get out of my bathtub, I go look down through the window down on our porch, and I can't see anything, I see a strange car. And I get back in the bathtub, I'm gonna ignore it. Finally, I get mad and call 911. And I lift the window up, I said, "You better leave us alone, I just called the police," and Brandon's going, "It's me, your favorite nephew." Just then the police come by, get out and ask him what he's doing, and he's vandalizing. So I'm probably the only one in life who's ever called the police on Brandon. But I remember he had called us. He'd been in Wichita Falls. He called us, and he never talks to me. He always wants to talk to Aunt Neenah.
Not true.
Well, actually, Aunt Neenah hogs the phone. Anyway, yeah. And he goes, I remember him saying, "Well, I saw this girl." And Neenah goes, "You're on a mission." And he goes, "Well, I know, I'm a straight arrow, but I saw this girl." So then a couple of months later, he's over to visit, and he says, "Well, speaking of this girl," and Neenah goes, "Okay, who's this girl you keep talking about?" So he, right, he came back after his mission. He was like, so then Neenah goes, "Well, are you going to get married?" He goes, "No, not for 2 or 3 years." So then he calls and he goes, "Well, I think I'm going to ask her to marry." Neenah goes, "When are you going to get married?" "Not for 2 or 3 years." It ain't 2 or 3 years. So Neenah is right. It's not adopting a child into the tribe, into our family. It's to us as Lamanite people as sacred as a ceiling. And start calling again. We love him. And it's a reflection of his parents. It's a reflection of the church. We have been members of the church our entire lives. And we are thankful for the opportunity of having him. We had a niece that passed away at a young age. And we had actually hoped he'd never find one on this side of the veil so he could have her. But if we have to give him up, it would be to you. And so I just wanted to thank everyone for having us. And I want to bear my testimony to you all that I am so thankful for the gospel. And I'm thankful for the fact that not only do we have eternal families by blood, but we have by love. And I say these things in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jeremy Hanks. I'm Brandon's favorite person in this room, including his. I've known him for 21 years, my whole life. Ooh, there's a lot of things I could say. I guess you could say one of my first memory of Brandon was when we were like 3 or 4. And I got these presents, for my birthday, and Brandon was over. And I had yet to play with my presents. I just barely opened them. And Brandon got there and decided that the presents were his. And I got this toy hammer. I had this toy little hammer. And so when I went and tried to play with my presents, Brandon took the toy hammer and started hitting me on the head and stuff. So it's kind of been that way ever since. So it's hit me on the head. We always kind of talk about that one day we both get married, and then we'd have kids at the same time, and our kids would be friends, and their kids would be friends, kind of, because our dads grew up together. Brandon, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be getting married anytime soon. But the kid thing, let's see what I can do. Just kidding, it's a joke. Congratulations to you both. I feel bad because not many people spoke about Liz, so all you guys are in Liz's family get up and talk about her so she doesn't feel left out. Anyways, good luck, you two. Have fun.
especially on your honeymoon. And that's it. This is Jason Babbel. This is cousin, and I really don't know Brandon very well yet, but I do have some advice and some wisdom for him. That is found in Proverbs chapter 21, verse 19. And it says, "It is better to dwell in the wilderness than with a contentious and an angry woman." So advice, and good luck and congratulations.
Okay, they're teasing, they're mean. I now have someone to stand there and say, have you taken this for all these years? The second thing about Liz, I'm working away, and I look over and she has the dishwasher loaded, she has the cabinets clean. I'm thinking, what is this?
We must get Dax. His first card.
Okay, correct.